It's a top, my selector.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Maestro, and I'm with my main man, my guy, straight out of the greater Boston area. I like to call him Joe. Some of you know him as Beeb or the Beeb. It is Joe Habib, Mr. Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter Live, and we are here together today on a Saturday morning to talk big time boxing, heavyweight boxing. The king of kings is the heavyweight champion of the world, and right now his name is Alexander Usyk. All right, this is a rematch. He did defeat Tyson Fury in the first fight. Let's preview fight number 2, the rematch. All right, a lot of people didn't think the first fight would happen. It happened. There were a couple delays. It ended up happening. And now we are here for the rematch of what I consider to be the most important fight of the year. All right, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world and a rather close competitive fight. Now, a lot of people seem to think that that is a wild take. Maestro's capping. Maestro's biased. Maestro doesn't like Usyk. None of which is true, by the way. But we're here to talk boxing. Joe Habib, the floor is yours. It's Saturday. I know you've got to be really excited. Get us started, my man.
Look at the smile on my face, man. This is not in the least bit manufactured. This is like Christmas morning. A lot of people in the build up to this fight were saying there's no buzz to it, but sometimes the buzz just creeps right up on you during fight week. And I felt all week like I was shot with a blast of adrenaline, and I'm oh my God, words can't even describe how excited I am for this fight. Listen, there's a lot of questions on both guys, right? There were some close rounds, like rounds 2 and 3 in the first fight were close. If you flipped both of them one way or the other, you can get a different scorecard. Round 12, a lot of people said was close. All 3 judges scored round 12 for Fury. I scored round 12 for Fury. So, you know, was it possible to come up with an 8-4 scorecard for Usyk? Sure. Was it possible to come up with a 7-5 for Usyk, a 6-6, even in rounds? Sure. Was it possible to come up with a Fury winning by a point? Yeah, you could have done that. Maybe you'd have to give him all of the benefit of the doubt. One judge did give him all of the benefit of the doubt. But no matter how you look at this fight, I believe it was a close fight. And if you don't, you don't. One thing about me, I don't try to change your opinion. I just give you mine, and I give you the most objective perspective I can give you. Obviously, I am biased towards Fury, but objectively speaking, Usyk deserves to be the favorite based on the fact that he won the first fight, right? And you could look at pros and cons for both fighters going into this rematch, right? A lot of people are saying, oh, Fury's done, his legs are gone, and they thought his legs were gone and shot after the Ngannou fight. But I didn't see a guy whose legs were gone, because if you hit somebody in that temple area, which basically involuntarily shuts down their legs, there's no way. Like, if you get hit in the chin, I've said this before, you could shake it off, you could brace yourself, you can kind of clear the cobwebs a little bit. But when you get hit in that temple area, we've seen Joshua get hit with that in that temple area with Ruiz, and the legs, it's like the legs just, someone just pulls a rug out from underneath you when you just go down like this, like you're like this, you can't stabilize yourself. So when I say that's a punch from the gods, do I mean that was a lucky punch? Absolutely not. Did Usyk intend to land that punch? Sure. But where that punch ended up landing, squarely directly on that temple area, you have to ask yourself, if it goes down maybe 3/4 of an inch and hits the cheek, does that punch get the same result? I'm gonna say no. So Usyk definitely deserves full credit for what he has done and did in that fight, but you have to ask yourself, how much of a different fight is it if you subtract out that round 9, right? Because if you look at that round 9 and 10, Usyk definitely clearly won with those rounds, but Fury started coming back in round 11, and I do think he won round 12. So I ask anyone, can you envision a fight where that punch doesn't land and the outcome is different as a result of that punch not landing? Now, we're playing the games of the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but we have to factor all these things in. Another thing you have to ask yourself is, a lot of people are saying, well, those Wilder fights took a lot out of Fury. Well, for the first 7 rounds, it didn't appear to be the case, because a lot of people had Fury up 5-2. Some people had him up 6-1. And the live odds had Fury at a -1,000. People were literally texting me during the fight, telling me this is over, Fury's going to stop.
Round 6 and 7? I mean, those were big rounds for Fury in my opinion.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, Fury's 36, but Usyk's going to be 38 in about 18 days. So essentially, Usyk is 38 going in there against a 36-year-old person. Now, Teddy Atlas made a statement that I think in the first fight, Fury left more in the ring. Or you can make that argument. Obviously, Fury was definitely, both fighters were hurt, but Fury appeared to be more hurt in that round 9 than Usyk was during those round 6 and 7. But that you have to also factor in, Usyk was dealing with sustained punishment, whereas Fury had that really bad round in round 9, and then he started coming back after round 9, whereas Usyk had, like I said, the sustained punishment. So who has more left? Well, Usyk's going to be 38 years old, and if you look at his career the past 5 years, from 2019 to 2023, he's only fought once a year. You have to ask yourself, why? Did he need more time to recover after the fights, right? Because he's the smaller guy fighting bigger guys, and even though he's winning and looking impressive, being hit by bigger men, still could make the argument would affect him more than a guy like Fury, because Fury, we've seen him hurt, but the recuperative powers of Fury are incredible. Now, Usyk has a level of recuperative powers as well, but is that up there with a guy like Fury? We've seen Usyk get hit with that body shot against Dubois. It literally took him 3 minutes to recover from that shot. They had to give him 3 minutes. So ask yourself, what would have happened if he had to get up right away? Or if he was given a 10 count.
I counted him out on my channel. By the way, we're dual casting today, both on my channel and on Ringside Reporter Live. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, of course, and make sure you hit that notification bell. If you're watching on Ringside Reporter Live, come over and subscribe to Maestro A. If you're watching on Maestro A, go over and subscribe to Ringside Reporter Live. Yeah. There you go, Joe.
So, in my opinion, that punch landed perfectly. I'm not saying it was a lucky punch, but it just landed in that temple area. Roy Jones got hit with that shot. I go back to Anthony Joshua. Fighters just have a hard time recovering from that shot. And like I said, involuntarily, the legs and the body just shut down. But Fury did recover from that. So the question, again, I'll repeat it. Can you envision a fight where that punch does not land on the temple and that same result does not occur? Yes. Now, with all those things being said, I had Usyk only winning by a point. One judge only had him winning by a point. Another judge had it 7-5. And one judge had Fury winning by a point. So Usyk at his very best only beat Fury by a split decision and on a point on a lot of people's scorecards, 2 or 3 points on others, right?
Yep.
That was the best possible Usyk, in my opinion. Now, we talk about the age, 38, only fighting once a year. Again, he's fighting. This is the first time in a long time he's going to be fighting twice in 1 year and only 7 months later. How is his body going to respond to that, right? Now, Fury has had the hard living. And the questions that have been asked about him is that going to have an effect on him? Are his legs still there? We were told his legs were gone after the Ngannou fight. They didn't appear to be shot to me, because if your legs are gone, you don't recover from that shot you got hit with in round 9. If you're a shot fighter, you just don't. And he did. So I'm going to put that one to bed. We've seen Fury fight and win in so many different ways. We really haven't seen Usyk win in different ways. Now, people get mad when I say this, but he has that one style. But again, it's a tough style, and there's a lot of dimensions and nuance to that
he's
style.
also mastered it. He's mastered it, without a doubt, but it is one style.
It is one style. It's that in and out,
ambush attack style.
Mid-range. He's never going to stand in there and bang it out with you on the inside. He's not going to lay back and pick and prod from the outside. He can counterpunch a little bit, but he's not going to back up the whole fight and try to run you into shots. He loves moving in and out, right? But we've seen Fury fight off the back foot and beat a guy like Vladimir Klitschko. We've seen him fight off the back foot and arguably beat Deontay Wilder in the first fight. But then we've also seen him steamroll guys. Seen him steamroll Derek Chisora. We've seen him steamroll Deontay Wilder, right? But then the argument is, well, Usyk is not Deontay Wilder. He's not Derek Chisora. Okay. But
here are the two arguments.
Fury actually landed almost the same amount of punches as Usyk did in that fight. He actually threw more than Usyk in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole notion that Usyk wasn't getting touched and he wasn't getting hit, right?
No, look at his face after the fight.
I mean, he was getting touched and he was getting hit. The question remains.
He was blowing too. He was physically tired.
Does Fury lay back and be complacent like he was in the first fight? To me, again, got a little too comfortable, had that mentality like, you know what, I'm having fun here. I can get this guy out of there anytime I want. And in my opinion, let up on the intensity just to hear. And this is a game of inches. When you let up the intensity for just to hear, and full credit to Usyk for recovering as well. We're not, again, this is not, a whole pom-pom for Fury. We're gonna give Usyk his flowers too. But the question again is, when you got the ambush guy and he goes back out and you don't follow him back on the way out and stay on him, right? You're giving him that breathing room because you are comfortable and you maybe think that I'm having fun. I can get this guy out of here whenever I want. I'm cruising. I don't think Fury's going to have that cruising mentality at all in this fight. This is going to be a seek and destroy from rounds 1 through for however long it lasts.
Two questions, Joe. Number one, because these are the things we hear a lot. You've already addressed the issue of the legs, the issue of essentially being, I mean, people aren't saying it outright, but essentially what they're alluding to is that he's a shot fighter. Okay. Correct. The other two things you hear often are, A, he doesn't do well with smaller guys. They point to the Steve Cunningham fight, and they point to this Usyk fight, right? The other thing people point to is that he doesn't do well with quote-unquote southpaws. And what do? They point to the Wallin fight, and again, they point to the Usyk fight. Talk to me about those two things.
So the thing is, Usyk is not a guy who's going to move away from you the whole fight. He has to come to Fury in order to get his offense going, right? And he did come to Fury. But I'll repeat this. When he goes back out to reset, Fury has to follow him and take away that runway, take away that ground for him to have to go back out and then be able to dart back in. So if he follows him on the way out, right, and constantly keeps him at an arm's length, or even when they get close, decides to use a little bit more physicality in this fight, which obviously the added weight suggests that that's going to happen. So if he decides to maul him a little bit more, if he decides to grapple with him a little bit more on the inside, use a little bit more dirty boxing like we talked about before, grab him with one arm like Lennox Lewis used to do and punch with the free hand, right? Post him a little bit more with the jab. The jab was good in the first fight, but I believe that the jab is going to be even more important in this fight. I think it's going to be used even more in this fight. I think two things you're going to see differently in this fight is you're going to see a lot more jabs and you're going to see a lot more body punching. And I think you're going to see the body punching being used earlier in this fight. And I do think you're going to see a bit more inside fighting from Fury. And you may see Usyk, who is that ambush guy, judging by what he's been saying and judging by his added weight, he may feel a little more brave in this fight. So even when he's going in and out, when he does go in, he may stay in that mid-range and throw and try to throw a bit more punches this time around and up that volume even more this time. And he may possibly get greedy in this fight. He may say, well, I hurt him badly in round 9, right? This time I'm going to try and get him out of there, right? And that could play into Fury's hands. So the question is, will this added weight, again, he jumped on the scale. You saw him turn over to the supervisor, say 281. And I got the sense that supervisor was going to tell Michael Buffer that official weight wasn't 281. I don't think the official weight was 281. I think the ceremonial weigh-in, they jumped on the scale. Fury had the leather coat on. He had about at least 7 or 8 pounds of clothes on. I think he's about 273, 274-ish, maybe 275 tops. I don't think he's 281. So the question is, will that hurt him? Does he need to move more? Well, we saw him at the 273 against Wilder. And I know people, Usyk is not Wilder. Okay. He's not Wilder. But again, Usyk has to come close to throw punches. And he's gonna be in the danger zone. So if he is in the danger zone and Fury decides to get close and maul him up close, if he decides to be more of a grappler in this fight, be more of a leaner in this fight, be more of a mauler in this fight, add a little bit more of that to this fight, which he did none of that in the first fight. He tried to fight Usyk like he fought Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder in the first fight. Whereas if he decides to fight like he fought against Steve Cunningham, where he decided to become more physical and started to be more of the dirty boxer, so to speak, if he does that, and if he does what he did in the second Wilder fight, which he weighed 273 pounds. So he has been effective at 273, 274-ish, right? And some of the lighter weight performances haven't really been the greatest. He was light for Wallen. He was light for Wilder in the first fight, and arguably the best performance of his career is when he was 273 against Wilder in the second fight. So you can argue, he's 36. Will the added weight be a problem? It hasn't really shown. He hasn't shown us that he's going to be that he can't be effective in the 273, 274 range. He has been effective at that weight. He has scored knockouts at that weight, and I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. Do I like the 265, 262 pound Fury? Yeah, I don't mind it, but again, he's getting older, so maybe the optimum weight could be 270, 273. Who knows? But I'm not ready to say the weight's going to be a problem at 273, 274. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if he uses the weight to his advantage. I think if he makes a concerted effort to fight a more physical fight, which I don't think he did in the first fight, then I think it could work to his advantage. So we'll see.
Well, all of that is great analysis, Joe, and there's nothing there I disagree with. I just want to add on to a couple things, because we talked about the best version of Usyk in the first fight, and whether or not that was the best version of Fury. It clearly wasn't the best version of Fury. Whether it was the best version of Usyk or not remains to be seen. It could be argued that his best wins and performances were actually at the cruiserweight division. Unfortunately, the cruiserweight division does not have the gravitas of the heavyweight division, because the heavyweight division is clearly the biggest and most popular division in the sport. That's been the case since the days of Jack Johnson, John L. Sullivan. You can go further back than that. But clearly, he boxed the best, I think, that someone could have boxed that night earlier this year in Riyadh. I don't think that is the case with Fury. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Usyk gave everything he had in that fight.
Yes.
I just think Fury could kick it up a notch with the intensity level. I do think he got complacent, got too comfortable, and was clowning a bit too much. I really do believe that.
100%. Now, here's the part that has escaped most people's analysis. And last week, I made the statement that I knew for a fact from someone very involved in the Tyson Fury camp. You know who that person is, Joe, who I had a lengthy discussion with off the record. So I don't want to name the person. But off the record, when I was in LA for Riyadh season, Crawford versus Matt Madrimov. Now, since I said that, this past week, multiple other people have made the same statement, including Andy Lee, the assistant trainer. And here was the statement that I said last week.
And let me just interject. Let me preface your statement, and I sincerely apologize for interrupting. Yeah. I can go on record and verify, because Maestro told me at least 2 weeks or even 3 weeks before the statement actually went public. He told me beforehand. Told me beforehand, and he sat on it in confidence because he did not want to, betray his source. So I can vouch for that 100%.
Thank you, Joe.
I apologize, Maestro.
And what no problem at all. Thank you. And what the person made very clear is that they didn't do any real sparring for that first fight because of the cut. They were worried about the cut reopening. They were worried about the fight being canceled. There was a lot of money on the line. In addition to the purse itself, people have seemed to have forgotten that Turkey issued a fine, a potential fine, a significant financial penalty that he would have levied against Tyson Fury should the fight have been canceled. So they didn't do real sparring for that fight. And Joe, you made a very good comment to me this week over the phone when you said, imagine the mentality of a sparring partner, someone just doing ticky-tack, touch technical sparring with Fury going into the first fight. You'd be fearful of really landing anything of any consequence.
If you're a sparring partner being assigned to that second camp, knowing what happened in the first camp, do you actually do you want to be that guy that cuts him again and fucks up the second fight for him? That's a good question. So if you're in there as a sparring partner, knowing what happened in the first camp, knowing that the cut stopped at the first fight, obviously, would you want to be put in that position where you've done it again in a second fight? Because it's very easy to reopen up a cut like that. It's very easy to reopen up a cut like that. And even people who were interviewing him this week and prior to the first fight, they were saying, yeah, your eye looks a lot better healed than it did the first time, right? It looked a lot better healed than the first time, whereas we could see that there was some scar tissue there, and it was still a little raw. This time it's completely healed.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's twofold. So on the one hand, you're talking about the preparation for the fight, right? I'm sorry, this is heavyweight boxing at the most elite level. All right, it's the two best heavyweights in the world. You're preparing for a guy who's won everything there is to win in the sport, other than the unified heavyweight title. If you're Alexander Usyk, and you're going into that fight preoccupied not just about the cut, but we obviously preoccupied about the cut opening during training, and that would lead to not being technically sharp. That would lead to also, let's face facts, a lot of sparring is you getting physically prepared for battle, and you feel punches in sparring. You're supposed to feel punches in sparring. You're supposed to be able to take a shot and feel a little bit about what it's going to be like in a fight. Now, obviously, it's not the full deal because you're wearing bigger gloves and headgear, but you're essentially training for a fight and then going into a fight having never had to get hit like that. And it reminds me of something that I know you heard as well, Joe, because we also talked about this, which was when Sugar Ray Leonard was coming back after a long spell of inactivity, and he talked about the necessity of taking shots in preparation to prepare for battle in the fight, and how his body literally had forgotten what it was like to take those shots, right? And that there was a big acclimation process. So there's that. All right. And then there's also the fact that even once the fight started, if you go back and watch it, you'll see that there are moments where, there's a little preoccupation. There's a little touching of the head. So I have no doubt that it was on his mind as well. Now, these do sound like excuses. People said they were excuses last week when I said it. People said I was making up the stuff about him not doing any real sparring for the fight. Then it was confirmed by Andy Lee and other people that was actually the case. So I'm looking at this fight. I'm looking at a guy who already took the hardest blow that he's probably ever going to take from Usyk, was able to ride it out. It was a tough round in the 9th round, but he recovered from it in the 10th, and he ended up closing the fight really, really well. Like, I've heard people on Talk Sport in the UK saying, "Oh, his confidence this, his confidence that. The confidence is all with Usyk." I don't agree with that. You walk away from a loss sometimes thinking, "Well, I know this went wrong. I know that went wrong." That's what Lennox Lewis did after the loss to Rahman in South Africa. Literally walking back to the ring, he knew what he did wrong. He knew the adjustments. You take it to Fury after the first fight with Wilder. After that 12th round, it clicked. And what was the adjustment that he made? No, I got to put him on the back foot. I've got to go towards him. I can't just box on the back foot and jab and move and be a counter puncher. No, I got to walk forward, be aggressive, and put this dude on the back foot, make him go backwards. And that was a successful strategy in that regard. So I think that we're going to see an extension of the successes in the first fight, and I think that any apprehension about the cut, right, which also tactically would have affected his desire to want to really be on the inside and potentially get a headbutt, potentially have that cut open up.
Yeah, that's another thing too. You don't when you're protecting a cut eye, the last thing you want to do is go on the inside.
Fighting. And here's the deal. People can disagree with me if you want. Fury's a better inside fighter than Usyk.
Without question.
He's a better inside fighter than Usyk. Yeah. And if he doesn't have the preoccupation of this cut, there's nothing deterring him from going to the inside, being physical on the inside, doing what Lennox Lewis did masterfully, especially in the later half of his career, right? Using his height, using his weight, leaning on a guy. George Foreman did this as well, obviously. Working with the free hand, maneuvering your opponent into position, right? And dominating on the inside. So the long range is Fury. If he sticks and moves behind a long jab, punishes Usyk with a right hand and with an uppercut when he tries to close that gap and get into the mid-range, right? And on the inside, I see the advantage being with Fury because I think he's a better inside fighter. Now, mid-range, Usyk all day. Usyk all day. The question is, how much of this fight, if we put it in the percentages, Joe, is going to be contested at short range, at mid range, and at long range. Because two-thirds of that equation, in my opinion, are with the Gypsy King. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the geography, as Teddy Atlas loves to use that word, geography, right? When you look at the overall geography, you got three areas, like you said, mid-range, inside, and outside. Usyk's only advantage is in the mid-range. I agree with that. I do agree with that. So when Usyk does get in the mid-range, what does Fury do? Does he reach out, grab him? Does he come forward and lean? Does he kind of step back a little bit and force Usyk's mid-range to have to be reset and come closer and hit him with the counter uppercut like he did in the first fight? So again, there's different things Fury could do. And everyone in this chat that is saying that we're making excuses and stuff like that, you all have fair points. And guess what? If tonight the same thing happens to Fury that happened in the first fight, then everything you're saying in this chat will be validated and we will be wrong. So what you're saying is not wrong. You have the other side of the argument, which is totally plausible. But when you have a fight like this where the odds are razor close, like Usyk is like a plus 125 now. It's like, this is virtually, when have you ever seen a rematch where the winner has gone in at such a low advantage in the odds? I can't remember the last time I've seen a rematch with the odds being this close.
I'd have to look at what I don't know if there's historical records of betting odds. If anybody knows of such a resource for that data, please share it in the chat. But so I'd have to think of going back to Lennox versus Rahman, maybe, or maybe
because Lennox. Think about it.
What about Donald versus Inoue? What were the odds on that? That's a more recent high-level rematch. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I've never seen someone go in. I've never seen someone go in after winning, right? The first fight, and only being like a plus 125. Some have him a plus 145, 150. Like he's not been above a plus 150 since this fight was signed. And the odds seem to be going down.
Smallsy, my fellow teacher talking boxing. Joe's favorite show on my channel. AJ was the favorite in the Ruiz rematch.
We understand that, but we're saying, when has the winner, right, been like less, like for instance, if the winner is going to be the favorite, right? So AJ wasn't the winner. So with the winner being the favorite, name a time when when the odds have been that slight in the winner's favor, if he is the favorite. Ruiz was the winner, but he wasn't the favorite. That's not an accurate comparison. What I'm saying is the winner of the first fight in being the favorite in the second fight, when is he only ever been a favorite with this small of a margin? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's all. That's what I mean.
I got to give a big up for the super chats, and then we'll get back to the other comments. We had a super chat earlier from our main guy, straight out of great state of Ohio. I think he's still based out of Ohio. Sly tendencies. It's going to be another war. Can Fury make the adjustments? Can Usyk build on his momentum? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Look, I believe it or not, I actually think the momentum's with Fury. I had him winning the last round. Oh, but how can you say that? Well, the three judges also scored it that way.
One judge actually gave him the 11th too, and he was definitely coming back towards the end of the 11th round. I don't think he won the 11th round, but one judge thought he did. So
Clarissa Turcio says, I meant Fury was starting to dominate that fight until he got caught, and I still feel he did enough to win. There's people who'd say
all you got to do
crazy, but all you got to do is flip one round. Actually, flip one round on Joe's scorecard.
If I flip round 2 and give it to Fury, Fury wins by a point. If Usyk doesn't score the 10-8 round, the fights are drawing my card. Now, if you gave Usyk every single close round, could you come up with 8-4? Sure. But listen to what I just said. You would have had to have given him every single swing round for that to happen.
Tony Pugilist.
Yeah.
Another teacher in the chat. We got the teachers coming out today. That's my main man, Tony, QTS status over there in the UK. He says Fury plus 150, Usyk minus 120.
Yeah, if you go on FanDuel right now, let me show you what FanDuel has it. Because everyone's different. They have Usyk on FanDuel right now. Let's see if I can get this clear for you. He's a minus 136.
And Fury's a plus 112.
And Fury's a plus 112. So these odds are starting to narrow more and more as time goes on. So if you can get Usyk, if you really like Usyk, and you can get him at a minus 150, then grab him.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can.
You know, Joe flipping round 2 to Fury would be giving him a round he didn't deserve. In your opinion, I mean, you can say that. That's your opinion. But if you look at the official scoring, let's look at the official scoring. If I remember correctly.
Bring up the official scoring, Joe.
If you look at the official scoring, 2 judges did give Fury round 2. I didn't give Fury round 2, but 2 judges did. So again, we love to say how bad the judging is, but how good are we as scorers? I want to talk about. How good are we as scorers? I want
to talk about the judging in a moment. First, I got to give up a big up to Guinness Drinker. All right, AZC29, or if you're in the UK, AZC29. Big up. I actually think he is in the UK because he dropped the £5 note. Thank you so much for that. Don't you think Fury will benefit more at being a lighter weight rather than the weight?
It's a good question. It's a good question. We have empirical data to suggest that he's been good. He's been good in both weights. We've seen him destroy Deontay Wilder at 273, and I know the argument's going to be, well, Usyk is not Deontay Wilder.
But Joe, he's not 273. He's in the 280s. Come on, keep it real.
Well, I mean, I encourage anyone to go put on your shoes, go put on a pair of slacks, and go put on a jacket. I did it yesterday as an example because I had to show somebody, the difference being fully clothed. And I obviously I had a full day of eating under me. So that was different too. So if I show you, let me see if I can show you this. If I show you, this is how much I weighed, so I can get this clear for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's me fully clothed with my jacket on, right? After a full day of eating, right? And then I strip down to my underwear.
220.
And this is me. So basically 9 pounds difference, right? So let's be conservative, right? And take.
Were you wearing a leather jacket when you stepped on the scales?
I was wearing a jacket probably lighter than the jacket Fury had on.
Leather jacket.
Leather is heavy. Leather is a very
material.
So I'm guessing, if I'm being totally objective here and honest.
Sorry to all my vegans out there.
I'm saying Fury had at least 8 pounds of clothing on. I'm guessing he weighed about 273 yesterday. Now, what did they say? He weighed 262 for the first fight. So he was 11 pounds heavier. Now, if you think that 11 pounds could be a detriment to him, you could be right. But my only problem is, my only thing is this: you have to ask yourself. We've seen him do well in the 270 range. We've seen him be very effective, right? And the argument's going to be, well, Usyk's not Wilder. Yeah, but Fury did not employ that same strategy that he employed in the second Wilder fight. that he did against Usyk in the first fight. So we have to see what happens if Fury was to employ that same style. Oh, well, it won't work against Usyk. Why? Usyk, this whole notion that Usyk moves, like Usyk doesn't come to the fire, doesn't step into the kitchen. Usyk comes to you. He has to get near you. The ambush fighter has to come to you. He doesn't move away from you. Usyk doesn't fight like Paulie Malignaggi or Hector Camacho or Andre Durrell. He's not that guy that's just going to just probe around the perimeter. He likes to come close, mid-range, comes forward. So there's going to be opportunities.
He also looks very uncomfortable when he's pressed backwards. And if anybody doesn't believe me, go look at the Derek Chisora fight. I want to get to Sly Tendencies comment here. We got Usyk fans coming out with the Wilder conspiracy already. Look, there's something that I'm not really going to go into much detail here, Joe. I'm just going to do this on my own channel later, but this was disturbing to me. I saw this. I was very disturbed. I don't know what people look. I'm just going to go into this on my own channel. I didn't like seeing this. I'm going to full screen it so you guys can have a look at that. That's awful over there. And I'm going to explain why on my own channel because we're dual casting this right now. This was not a good look for Alexander Usyk. This was a terrible look for Alexander Usyk. And I'm going to leave it at that until I go into more depth about that. Yeah, we got a guy here, Francis, who knows the truth about this one. We're talking about some goose stepping right now, if you know what I mean. We're talking about a mustachioed Austrian guy from the 1940s and 30s and people who are vibing with that dude. Okay, and I'm just gonna leave it like that because that is not a good look for Usyk. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't know these things. I hope he doesn't know these things. I really hope he doesn't know these things. But if he knows these things and he's doing that, that is a really bad look for Mr. Usyk. And I'm gonna go into that on my own channel on my own time because we're here.
People are already planting the seeds of corruption. I'm hearing people say, oh, well, Fury's going to win by controversial decision. Whereas in the first fight, everyone was like, oh, Usyk's going to win, Usyk's going to win. But now you're hearing people say, well, Fury's going to win by controversial decision. What does that mean? Like, are you trying to hedge your bet now? Are you really that confident that you believe Usyk's going to win? Or do you just not know? And listen, I'm biased towards Fury. I love Fury. Fury's probably my favorite fighter right now. But I'm being objective in the analysis. Like I don't like Tank Davis, and every time he fights, I root against the guy. I just don't like him as a person. But that doesn't mean I'm going to pick Frank Martin to beat him. I could be objective in my I'm being objective in my analysis where a lot of the things that I'm saying right now are totally plausible based on empirical data. I'm citing empirical data to support what I'm saying. I'm not just pulling, shit out of my ass here, And the fight is so close on paper that everything I'm saying can be countered, and everything you guys are saying in the chat, you could be right. Like your arguments are not weak arguments. So we're going to give you full credit here.
Yep.
I'm biased, but I'm objective. Make it make sense. It's very easy to explain. I'm biased, but I'm objective. Bias means you want something to happen, but being objective means even though your bias wants you to believe something's going to happen, being objective means that it doesn't mean just because you want it to happen, it's going to happen.
Let me tell you.
So basically, let me unpack that. While I'm watching the first fight, I'm not going to automatically give Fury all the close rounds because I want him to win. I'm actually going to counteract my bias and maybe favor Usyk even more in close rounds because I don't want to give the impression of bias. So people know I'm a huge Fury fan. So instead of giving Fury round 2, which you could argue someone who's biased would do, I gave it to Usyk, even though I felt it was a close round, and I didn't think it was impossible to give that round to Fury. I actually fought my bias in that fight and scored that fight for Usyk. I actually scored the Ngannou fight for Ngannou because I was fighting my bias. So yeah, if you don't understand what being biased means you want something to happen. Being objective means that just because you want it to happen, you're not going to force it to happen or try to create a scenario where you make it happen. That's all that means. So if you don't understand that, then maybe you don't want to understand that. And we could make an argument. Maybe you're biased towards Usyk, which is fine if you are. But if you're thinking everything we're saying has no credible, plausibility here, then again, I have to question your analysis. So that's all I'm saying.
I'm biased. I want Fury to win after what I showed on screen earlier. After I saw this, I wanted him to win even more. That doesn't mean that it's going to judge my analysis of the fight. It's not going to adjust my analysis of the fight. But I've never wanted Fury to win a fight more than this fight.
Correct.
And again, I'm going to talk about this more in detail. The chat's already talking about it, which I like. Tony P, he's talking about it. Francis LE19, he knows what's going on with that. I'm not going to use the words on YouTube, but it's very clear what that is. Very clear. Very clear. Everyone in the Ukraine and in another country that I can't mention, okay, that one right there, they know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to the analysis. I did want to ask your opinion on this whole situation with the AI judging and your thoughts on that, Joe, because they're debuting AI judging in this fight.
I'm open-minded to everything, but what I don't like is AI is not at a level yet where it's perfect. It's not at a level where it's perfect. So the thing is this: will people put too much stock into the result of the AI judge? And could this open a can of worms where at some point down the road we decide we're going to eliminate the human beings and just put the AI judging in there?
Yeah.
But I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded to it. I'm curious to see if the AI judge is in line with the three judges, if it's going to be if the rounds if they score the rounds, if all three judges obviously score the rounds and the AI judge scores the rounds. I'm curious to see how different they are or how similar they are. You know what I mean? I want to see. I'm just so curious about the outcome, and I want to see if like the AI judge will be like totally different. Like we'll get like a 10-2 scorecard like we did in Canelo versus Triple G from the AI judge, whereas the other three judges are way out of whack with that. So I want to see how it unfolds. I'm definitely curious about that, without question.
Yeah, I'm very interested in it. Chris Mannix faced a lot of criticism with his scorecard in the first fight. We grew up, if you watched Showtime boxing, if you watched HBO boxing, if you watched the Boxing After Darks with Teddy Atlas back in the day, being used to a member of the broadcast team submitting a scorecard, right? This is something new.
Well,
I just don't understand. What is it going to be based off? Are they going to have like sensors in the gloves? I don't fully understand AI, to be honest with you. I don't use like Chat GBT or anything like that. So I don't know. Well, like, how is the AI going to figure it out? This is what I don't understand.
Let me just give you an example. I use AI a lot, but I always fact check AI with Google. And sometimes you'll get conflicting information. And then what's that girl's name on The View? The Hispanic woman that's on The View. I forget her name.
Nicaragua that used to be a Republican, but now she's a Democrat.
She
very anti-Cuba, very anti-Venezuela, very anti-Nicaragua.
I forget her name, but she tweeted out something about about a statistic about pardoning or something like that. And she went back into like the 1800s and she quoted a statistic that so and so was the first to do this, whatever, and it ended up being the incorrect information. And her response to that was, "Well, I got the information off AI." So that shows you right there, AI is not perfect yet, right? So you and I are always subscribed to the belief in Anna Navarro. Thank you. Always subscribe to the belief and theory that should always get more than one source. You know, get as many sources as you can, and don't just go with one source. Don't just go with a source because it's confirmation bias. Get as many sources as you can to try to get the most accurate information possible. That's just how you should always do it, and not everyone does that.
Yeah. So we have in this fight today, we have a guy who has said some things that people find inappropriate throughout his history versus a guy who is promoting something that we thought we were getting rid of in World War II. Make the final analysis on that one, you guys in the chat. And going back to the boxing,
and just for the record,
yeah,
because I know a lot of people are going to be taking shots at Maestro. Why does he have to always make it political? He's really not making it political. Other people have made it political. He made it political.
Make it political.
I'm gonna, not just because Maestro is my friend, but I'm gonna defend. I'm going to make a preemptive defense of Maestro right now, because I know there's probably people out there like, oh, why is he going to talk about the politics? Well, because they're talking about the politics.
Yeah. Oh, here's Andrew. Okay, well, Andrew, why don't you say that to Mr. Usyk? He's the one who brought it up.
And right on cue, we get the comment. Go look at what Maestro's showing you here in the picture. They made it political.
Yeah, he had this picture up at the weigh-in as well. Even after they weighed in, he's there with the thing. He's I guess, look, if you don't want people talking about this, why have that at the weigh-in?
Don't bring it up.
I don't understand.
I'm consistent with this. I hate when sports and politics get mixed. I hate it. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I hate. I still have to deal with the reality that you are going to have politics mixed in with entertainment now, mixed in with sports. And politics, in my opinion, destroyed the NBA, right? Because when you want to bring politics into something, especially when we're living in today's day and age where everything is so polarizing, where you're almost split down the middle, one side against the other. If you want to take a side, then you run the risk of alienating half your audience, and which is what the NBA did, right? They want to
and
make
with
everything political.
All of these European football leagues that are making people wear armbands representing stuff they don't agree with, like these organizations are the one making things political. But at the end of the day,
Muhammad Ali did not comment on politics. He commented on culture issues. That's a difference. He never commented on politics. He commented on cultural issues. That's what he did.
100%. So
and again, we're both freedom of speech guys. You can do what you want, but as me exercising my freedom of speech, I'm just telling you what I like. You can disagree with what I like. That's fine. So you're asking me about Muhammad Ali's situation. I believe Muhammad Ali wasn't really dealing with politic issues. I believe he was dealing with cultural issues, in my opinion.
Well, he was also someone who was told that he had to go overseas and go to the homeland of other people and fight them in their homeland, and he didn't want to do that.
Being a conscientious objector is not a political stance. That's a moral stance.
It's a humanitarian stance.
No, again, this is the problem, Tony. You this is what you do. This is a problem you have, and you're an intelligent man. But one of your weaknesses is you conflate things too much. You paint things with a broad brush.
Well, Tony,
saying you're a conscientious objector should not be a political stance. That is a moral stance, meaning If you don't believe in killing somebody because of a disagreement, that's a moral stance. That's not a political stance.
And
It could get pulled into politics.
For the people that said don't bring politics into this, he brought politics into this.
So that's
well, what do you guys see there on the screen? He did this. I didn't do this. He did this.
Yeah.
He did this. This was on the stage yesterday at the weigh-in. I didn't make this political. He made it political. I didn't make it political. He made it political.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm openly going for Tyson Fury. 100%.
And again, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really as politically vested in this as Maestro is, but he has a right to speak. This is a freedom of speech channel. I'm not going to say, "Oh, Maestro, why do we promote it?" This isn't promoted. That's his opinion.
This isn't promoted piece. This is an organization whose influence comes from a mustachioed, goose-stepping dictator during World War II. All right, and this particular organization slaughtered about 15,000 innocent people in the eastern part of that country because of their language and their religion.
Yeah.
Look it up. Tony P, go for it.
Good morning, Tony.
My fellow teach.
Gents, to
Oh, he froze up a little bit.
Well, we got Sly tendencies in the building too. Look at my man Sly. Sly,
Tony, jump out and jump back in, Tony. Tony, jump out and jump back in.
That beard has grown nicely, my man.
I'm at work, so I wanted to keep it. I didn't want to be on here too long, but
yeah.
Just when Joe Louis rematched Max Schmeling, it was at the height of World War II.
Yeah.
There wasn't one promotion from America saying that we were fighting a Nazi, right?
Yeah.
But Hitler put that fight on national TV in Nazi Germany for everyone to see with a 2-minute delay, so that if Max lost, they could cut the feed.
I did not know that.
So when people say stuff like, "Oh, don't make this political," Usyk is making it political.
Yeah.
Not only that, you've got people that work for the Ukrainian government on the ground in Riyadh. Every single interview they do, they talk about how, well, and again, I have my own views on the war. I don't necessarily think, you know my opinions, Maestro. I don't even need to tell you.
Of course, Sly. Yes.
But this specific.
What I will say is that we both want peace. That's what we both want.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
What people are forgetting, though, is that this specific battalion that he's talking about freeing is openly fascistic. I don't want to use the wrong word because I know YouTube. But
it's a word that starts with the N. It's another N word. It's a really bad word.
Yeah, it's a really bad word.
It's a neo-N-word organization.
It's no group that anybody should be advocating to help in any way. And don't even listen to me. Go to Google, type in Azov. Just don't listen to me. And again, nobody here is making it political but Usyk, but Vladimir Klitschko. And that's all. I got to get back to work. But I love you guys. Good to see everybody. Hey, Big Joe, Tony, everybody. Be good. I'll be in the chat.
There you go. Appreciate you, Sly. And
Right,
enjoy the work day.
We're going to bring in usually the smartest man in the room. Even when we disagree with him, he still has probably a higher IQ than both of us put together. But well, at least me, not Maestro, because Maestro's got a high IQ too. But go ahead, Tony.
Joe, I kowtow to your wisdom, and you know that I always praise you.
You do,
and
you do. Oh, he keeps freezing up. I hate it.
I don't know what's going on with it.
He's probably in a bad area.
Oh, here we are. Sorry.
Okay.
You can go off camera if you need to, Tony.
Let me see if that helps.
Yeah, it's gonna help. I think. Look at it. Look at it, man, with those beautiful dreadlocks.
All right.
Go for it, Tony.
Well, go for it, Tony. Go ahead.
Even now, the sound isn't sounding.
Yeah, it's cutting in and out. Oh, I wish he had.
I'm being closely monitored by FBI and CIA, so
that's what it is. Go ahead, Tony.
Anyone who knows me now, I'm very highly strong when it comes to political correctness, and exposing the oppression of human beings around the planet.
Yes, go for it.
You can put two and two together and work out that, you know, I'm very closely watched. I'm very closely watched. And of course, my cousins across the water in the United States, you know, that's where I'm being closely watched.
And he's off. Mr. Tony P.
He's probably in a bad area.
A boxing coach, the teacher, and the tailor. He's actually a master tailor. I don't know if you guys know that.
He is a tailor.
You lost me again.
Yeah, you're back, Tony. Go for it.
You're back, Tony. Go ahead.
The gremlins seem to be gremlining, so they're being very precise and making sure that I don't get my viewpoint.
Get your viewpoints off, Tony, because
So
I know you got stuff to say, and I know you couldn't have been happy about seeing
Muhammad Ali being extremely political, because obviously, oh my days, really.
We can hear you.
The way
you,
things
Tony.
are seen in the US are commonly different to the way they're seen around the rest of the globe. And obviously, we see things in the UK. If you go to Africa, you see things in a different way. And there's no if, buts, or maybes, but about, you know, Muhammad Ali's contribution towards a political restructuring of the United States. You know, the whole court, you know, that on its own, just the court battle to be able to do the job which he was denied the opportunity to do.
I think he keeps cutting it out. Poor thing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to do something a different way. Hold on, go for it, Joe. You can talk about what Tony's issue was over there.
So what Tony's saying is a lot of what Muhammad Ali said became political, but in Muhammad Ali's view, in my opinion, and I'm not going to speak for him, but I'm just going to give my viewpoint on it.
Yeah,
I don't think Muhammad Ali looked at it from a political point of view. I don't think he thought of it in that context. I thought Muhammad Ali just believed in righteousness for everybody. So you have to ask yourself, is it really political to ask for, you know, the fair treatment of people, right?
we're gonna bring Tony on now. I got him on WhatsApp. I can just answer the call. All right, Tony, I got you on WhatsApp. Hopefully everyone can hear you. Go for it. Oh, actually, give me a second, big man. Something happened here. I don't know why all of a sudden it's not, WhatsApp's not allowing me to have the conversation on Bluetooth. Oh shit. Tony, I'm gonna call you right back. Give me a second.
If you put it on speaker, the mic will pick it up.
Yeah. All right. I think we're connected to Tony right now. Tony, can you hear us? Oh, I think we disconnected. I'm gonna call him. You hear it ringing? You hear it ringing? All right. All right, Tony, you're with us now.
Maestro.
Yes, I can hear you. Joe, can you hear Tony?
I can hear Tony. He sounds perfect. Go ahead.
Good.
Go ahead.
Can you hear Joe, Tony? Go for it.
Hello?
Yeah, go for it, Tony. We can hear you loud and clear. Go for it.
Interestingly, I can't hear you on my phone, but I can hear you in the stream.
Okay, well, talk to us on the phone and just get off your point, because you were making a good point and I want to make sure everybody can hear it.
Your point, your opinion is very valid.
Sure. So effectively what I was trying to say is that quite often when we look at Muhammad Ali and his struggles in the United States, the viewpoint seen from across the water and in other parts of the globe is seen as wholly political. Whereas in America, you see that as a cultural issue, Joe. And I can understand that, because quite often I'd have conversations with my family, of whom I have several dotted around different parts of the United States. And there is a different viewpoint of what is a political argument against a cultural argument. It is both. Because essentially you've got to also understand that Muhammad Ali was an international spokesman. Yeah, he was close with Patrice Lumumba. You know, he was very close with leaders globally. You know, he's a man that would go to Libya and extract American prisoners of war. So there's no doubt in my mind that you can remove him from a political standpoint of being somebody who is doing things in order to achieve greater outcomes for people of color. And those things are not just cultural. Listen, you know the history of Muhammad Ali. I'm not going to have to rewrite that story, but it's quite clear he wasn't a man for just black people. He was a man of the people. You know, he would invite a Scottishman who was a fan and tell him, come all the way from Scotland, I'll pay for your flight and you can stay with me in camp and spend, you know, weeks with my family. You know, some of Ali's best friends are white people. Some of his best allies are white people. It's not always about the cultural battle which he faced consistently. It's a method to his madness, and in such we need to appreciate that. You know, he is a political figure in world history, not just a cultural icon.
Yeah, and obviously Muhammad Ali did get involved in political issues, but I believe he did it for the sake of justice. I think what Muhammad Ali did was basically justice first, and I think politics was an avenue that he had to go down to enact the justice that he believed in and that most of us do believe in. So I think that was a necessary conduit or a means to an end for Ali having to get into politics in order to achieve what he wanted to achieve, or at least help achieve what he wanted to achieve. So the way you articulated that makes a lot of sense, Tony, and it's hard to refute it.
Appreciate you, Joe.
Absolutely. So you could hear him loud and clear through the Bluetooth now
Yeah, I mean, he sounds good.
on the
He
phone,
does sound good.
Tony.
Yeah, thank you,
You're welcome.
Maestro,
You're
for
welcome.
allowing me.
Absolutely. But Tony, I do want you to help us break down this fight, fam. How do you see it going?
It's very interesting, actually, because I believe that the way Tyson has approached this fight is unique to most of his camps. He's been in complete radio silence, and that tells me he's locked in. You know, I believe that the fact that we haven't heard all the history on it, we haven't seen all the training footage that we normally get, means that this is a guy who realizes the importance of this fight, the legacy aspect of this fight coming up. And I've kind of believed that, you know what, there are levels to which Tyson can improve where I can't see how Usyk can make the same improvements. I totally understand that Usyk is at one of the highest levels. Now, if we say he's a level 18 out of 20, yeah, then he could go to level 19 and possibly move into 19.5. Whereas we know that Fury on that fateful night earlier this year when he fought Usyk, he was probably fighting at a 15, 16. And we know that he could get to a 19, 20. So I think in terms of improvement, we're going to see a huge improvement from Tyson Fury this fight. I'm not sure if Fury at a 20 gets beaten by a Usyk at 20. The best of Usyk, can that beat the best of Tyson? Now, you know, there's lots of conjecture. There's a lot of talk about whether the years and years of misuse of, you know, drugs I've heard and the mistreatment of his own body, you know, will eventually have a long-lasting effect on his ability to perform at his best. But I have to believe that, you know, look, this guy has not been, it hasn't been necessary for him to get to level 20 for quite a long time. And that's why we saw subpar performances against Daniel Dubois. Sorry, not Daniel Dubois. Who was it? Francis Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou, yeah.
So there was a clear case where we saw Fury going in at maybe level 14, 15 and saying, that's more than enough to deal with a guy like Francis Ngannou and being made to look bad. I believe he's locked in and he'll probably come in at 1920 this time round, or at least 1920 of the age that he is now. You know, it may not be the same 1920 had he been 28. But will that be enough? My feelings were, yes, that would be enough. You know, we've seen fallibility in Usyk before, and that might come up again, especially the body punching. Maestro, you've made more than enough reference to the body punches of Dubois affecting Usyk, and that might come back and haunt him, I think, in this particular fight. I do honestly think bodywork from Fury will be the key to this battle. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. I do kind of think that Fury will win it, but I also see that, you know, look, Usyk is fundamentally one of the best fighters we've seen in absolute years, especially as a heavyweight, and he may just have enough ring IQ to be able to negotiate the adjustments made by Fury, but we won't know till the bell rings.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, thank you so much, brother. You have anything else you want to say?
Nope, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the fight, guys.
You too, brother. Have a blessed Saturday and enjoy the fight, fam.
You know, and something else that was very interesting that I heard these last.
Can I just stop you real quick, Joe? We finally figured out a call-in. We've tried to do that before, remember? And we figured it out. We got a phone call in with Tony P.
Well, I was telling people that, you know, if you don't want to use Blog Talk and you don't want to, you know, pay for a service, all you got to do is like set up like a Google Voice or just set up a WhatsApp. And even if you put someone on speaker, the sound quality, like that was on speaker, right? Or was that Bluetooth?
No, that was through my mixer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Bluetooth
I mean, it's so easy. Even when I've put people on speaker, like it's so easy to get a caller on if you don't want to pay for a third party service. So it is what it is. But I'm just going to say this: something else that's being talked about more so in this fight than the first fight was they're already talking about establishing a belt line, right? So what does that mean? To me, that's hinting at Fury's going to be targeting the body a lot more. I just think Fury's going to be two things that I think are going to be really different from the first fight. Three things. I do think the jab, even though it was used a lot in the first fight, I think it'll be even used more so in this fight. I think it'll be used not only, you know, as a rhythm breaker from the back foot, just catching them, trying to break the rhythm coming in. I think it's going to be used also following them out for the reset. You're going to see more jabs that in that fashion. That's number one. Number two, I think you're going to see a lot more body punching, and particularly a lot more body punching early, right out the gate. That's number two. Number three, in the clinches, you are going to see a lot more roughhousing, a lot more grappling, a lot more mauling, and a lot more leaning from Tyson Fury in this fight. You're going to see that. So now, will he be able to implement all those things effectively? That's why we fight the fights, right? This whole thing that Usyk is not going to just stand there and allow him to do that. I just keep going back to Usyk's style is not a catch me if you can style. It's not a I'm going to scope the perimeter and just peck you, right? It's not a counterpunch style, right? It's not a setting trap style. Usyk is the initiator in all of his fights for the most part. And the initiator usually is the guy that can either make the greatest move, the greatest successful move, right? Or he can make the greatest mistake. It's like chess. The most important part of chess is the opening. It's not the end game. It's not the mid game. It's the opening, because the opening determines where the holes are going to be later in the game, right? So Usyk is going to be there. He wasn't hard to hit in the first fight, and I'm not so sure he's going to be hard to hit in this fight. So keep that in mind. He is going to be the initiator here, and I think Fury is going to match him with a higher intensity this time around. And I think you're going to see a much different. I think Fury is going to win in emphatic fashion tonight by 10th round stoppage. I think it's going to be a really emphatic victory. And if I'm wrong, I'd love to see you guys come back tomorrow on 6 o'clock Eastern time on the Ringside Reporter podcast, and you can roast me. That's fine, and I will take it all in stride.
You know, somebody's complaining about a flag that I have. Who was it? It's this Andrew. Okay, yeah, I have a jersey on of a particular. What's wrong with that? All right. Last time I checked, this is the country that fought the N-words during World War II. This is the country that liberated Europe from the N-words. I thought that that's what we wanted. I didn't know we wanted N-words back. And I don't mean the racial N-words, I mean the neo N-words. I didn't know that that's what we wanted in 2024, Andrew. So if you're on the side of the neo N-words, just come out and say it.
Yeah, let these guys expose themselves. Let these guys expose themselves, Maestro. That's okay.
Let's go to a question real quick from Rich Portico. He has a question. Do you think beards should be trimmed down before? So that's a very interesting one, because I used to think that you had to cut your beards.
It all depends on the commission. It all depends on the
commission. In amateur boxing, you were supposed to. I know in certain places where you have a lot of my Sikhi brothers. My Sikhi brothers keep the cash, and they don't cut. Well, the ones that are, you know, that adherents, they don't cut their facial or head hair. And it became an issue because if you look at the country of India, most of their boxers come from the Punjab region, and most of their top level fighters are Sikhi. And so it came up there, and then that was the amateur game, and then in the pro game, I remember Adrian Broner had to trim his beard before a fight, if memory serves me well. So Joe's right; it depends on the commission. I think, what's the rule there for? It's about hygiene and cleanliness, I guess. I guess that's what the rule is there for, right? I mean,
the argument is the beard provides a cushion for the chin. That's the argument.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, if I'm Team Usyk, I'm wanting the beard shaved too, because think about it, the punch is landing on that big bushy beard. The beard could provide a cushion. I don't know how much of a cushion it can. Also, it could kind of make the punch not land as clean. It may slip off the hair, whatever. So I'm not against Fury trying to get an advantage that way or perceived advantage that way. And I'm also not against Usyk his team trying to get that cut. Usyk himself said he doesn't care. It's his team that's advocating to get the beard cut. In more instances, I have seen commissions force the fighter to at least trim the beard.
Another super chat coming from Slide Tendencies. He says, "Why didn't Beterbiev trim his beard?" Crickets.
Yeah. It all depends on if the team fights hard, pushes hard to try to get the opposing camp to do that, or it depends on the commission. But more often than not, you will see the commission make a fighter trim his beard. In very rare instances do you see a fighter go into a fight with the beard that bushy like that. From my own personal experience watching boxing. So
yeah, there you go. So Andrew says, who are the N-words? I support Ukraine independence. If that's what they want, that's it. Well, what about the ethnic Russians in the Ukraine? Do they not have rights? Or is it okay to just exterminate 15,000 of them, ban their language? Is that okay? Is it not
Burn
okay?
down churches. Is it okay to burn down churches because you disagree with
Burn down Orthodox churches? Like, you guys don't understand. In 2014, there was a coup against the Yanukovych government that was democratically elected. The Russian-speaking population there supported that government. That government was illegally couped. At which point, the people in the West started shelling and bombarding and massacring the people in the East, who are mostly ethnic speaking or ethnic Russians. That's the truth of what happened. If you don't believe me, go watch the movie Ukraine on Fire by Oliver Stone. You got to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Okay? Got to go watch that movie. All right? And by the way, that's why Crimea voted to leave the Ukraine. That's why the people in Donetsk and Luhansk don't want to be in the Ukraine. So you keep using Ukraine as this overarching umbrella, but it's a multi-ethnic country. You may not know this, but
Two sides to the story,
there were
folks.
ethnic Russians there. There were ethnic Moldovans there. There were ethnic Germans there. There were ethnic Polish people there. Did you know this? Or are you just regurgitating what they say in the New York Times and on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News or on BBC? Get it together, bro. Do your research.
Yeah,
Let's go to
there's always two sides to a story.
Let's go to MAW real quick. Hello, boxing fans, Beebs, Maestro, and chat. Smash that like button, folks. I got Usyk again, but Fury has chance to win, as has some success in first. Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. So yeah, there you go. I think he dropped the same comment twice. Awesome. There's a double super chat. I gotta give it again. Thank you for that. Okay, he was a puppet, but he was elected. So okay, is Keir Starmer a puppet of Joe Biden?
Probably.
I mean, a lot of people would argue that Macron is a puppet of Joe Biden, that Trudeau is a puppet of Biden. Fam, like, keep it real. Keep it real. All right. I mean, like, let if you want to talk facts, talk facts. All right. If you're living in the UK, your government is a puppet to the United States. So who's the puppet? Who's the puppet? Let's keep it moving. That's a fact, Francis. That's a big fact. So okay, and I live in the country with the biggest prison population in the entire world. There's more people imprisoned in the United States than in China and in India. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, look, I'm not gonna continue this discussion. Let's get back on topic here. Let's get back on topic. So yeah, let's talk about the undercard real quick, Joe, because Tony P mentioned, and we can close out on this if you want, on talking about the undercard. Tony P mentioned the fact that there's no real good undercard here. And honestly, I have to agree with him. I'm not very excited about the undercard at all, but I am interested in the Moses Itama fight.
Yeah, there's
that's taking
not a
place.
phenomenal undercard. It really isn't. But if you look, the David Allen fight is pretty interesting. Should be exciting, right? The Ishmael Davis Sergey Bohachuk fight, that's a pretty decent fight, I think. Like you said, Atamu versus Dempsey McKean, that's okay. Johnny Fisher, David Allen, it's a great fight too. So yeah, a lot of people don't think David Allen's gonna do well in that fight, but I still think he'll give it a go, and I still think it'll be fun to watch while it lasts, in my opinion.
The Johnny Fisher Dave Allen fight, that's gonna be an entertaining fight. It's gonna be an entertaining fight.
Sure.
The Moses Atama fight, I think, is gonna be pretty entertaining too, you know. And he is being mandated, I believe, to fight David Adelaide, one of your favorite prospects coming out of the UK.
I can't stand that guy.
Heavyweight division, right? David Adelaide.
I don't like that guy at all.
What a knockout performance of Solomon Dakers in his last fight. I must have rewatched that knockout maybe 10 times. Hit him right on the top of the head. scrambled him, got him up out of there. But I think the more likely opponent, believe it or not, Joe, for Moses Itama is the fight with the newly crowned WBA champion of the world, okay, Pulev. You saw that fight, right? Against your Syrian brother, Mahmoud Char.
That's
Right?
right.
Pulev won the WBA title. And if Moses Itama defeats Pulev, he'll become the youngest heavyweight champion of all time, bro.
I get in these arguments with Eric all the time. We had a heated debate on this topic about who are champions and who are belt holders.
I agree with Andrew on this one. Reggie belts definitely don't count.
And as much as I love Daniel Dubois, he is a belt holder. I don't think he is the champion. The winner of this fight tonight is the true heavyweight champion of the world, in my opinion, and the majority of the people out there.
Of course. And by the way, as much as I like Daniel Dynamite Dubois, like he's not actually the heavyweight champion.
No, that's what I just said. Yeah, he's not
the heavyweight. But as much as I like him, I have to agree with Joe on that. And
he's
if Moses Itama beats Pulev, should they make that fight, he'll be the WBA regular champion. But that's not obviously actually breaking Mike Tyson's record. All kidding aside. Right.
And as much as we complain about the sanctioning bodies, I mean, we all know the truth, right? We determine who the true champions are. Obviously, they have to fight the fights and they have to win titles, but we determine like who the man is in the division based on public perception. It's always been that way.
Yeah.
No one thought Rolly Romero was really the champ at 140.
No.
But with all due respect to him, you know, he has make your money, do what you gotta do.
I'll even go further than that.
But the truth is the truth.
Yeah, I don't think Floyd was the champ at 140, by the way.
No.
Like, people don't like it when I say that.
He was a belt holder at 140.
He didn't beat Costiazul. He
didn't beat Ricky Patton. He didn't beat
Arturo
him at 140.
He beat at 140. Yeah, exactly. He beat Arturo Gatti.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Star Fox says, "Wow, glad I was here to hear Maestro diss Triple D for the first time in history. You ain't a champ, champ."
Again, like we
I like Triple D. You guys.
We love Daniel Dubois over here. We love I wanted him to beat AJ so bad, but Maestro asked me who he thinks is going to win, and I said I think AJ is going to stop him. And this is where it comes. I was biased towards Daniel Dubois, but my objectivity forced me to pick AJ based off of what I've seen.
And I can say that I kept trying to pull Joe over to the knockout prediction. I really did. Up until the week of the fight, I was, Joe, come on, he's good. And Joe, he said, I want this guy to win. I really am hoping he knocks out AJ, but I just don't see it.
I was rooting hard for him.
Yeah.
But I didn't pick him to win, so I'm not going to take credit for the victory. I'm not going to try to Monday morning quarterback it or backtrack. Oh, well, I said it could have happened. No. A lot of things can happen. What do you think will happen? That's what all that matters at the end of the day. You know?
Exactly. So any last words, Joe? Because I dropped the link. I don't know if anybody wants to come on. We could wait maybe a minute or two to see if anybody wants to join us.
If anyone else has any last minute thoughts, if anyone else wants to get anything off here. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a phenomenal fight. First fight was a phenomenal fight, and I don't anticipate the second fight being any less of a great fight. So I'm anticipating one of the greatest heavyweight fights that we've seen in recent years, and I couldn't be more excited for it.
Absolutely. And I don't know. That's a good question. Joe and I were talking about this. I actually haven't decided yet one way or another. What What do you? I'll be honest. The problem with these live streams of these re-ed season cards, and I haven't done it myself, but I've seen other people do it. It's like a 5-hour endeavor. Like,
Yeah, it's too long.
and even if you just want to do it for the main event, they do like 5 different anthems. They got these concerts. I mean, if it was just a matter of going live for the fight, that would be one thing. But you know, that's my opinion on it. Anyways, let's bring on Puro Sur. Puro Sur, how's it going, brother?
Yo, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? Good morning.
What's going on, brother?
Morning.
Chilling, man. Just thought I'd hop on and say what up before you guys said toodaloo.
Yes.
Let me see. Usyk and Fury. I had Fury winning the first fight. I think I told you that before, Maestro, by the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, you did, and I told you it wasn't crazy that you thought that.
Not crazy to say that. You're going to be shamed if you had Fury winning by a point, which some people did. Right. But again, your scorecard is your scorecard. Fuck everybody else. Right.
Hey, one of the judges that actually matters agreed with me, so all good.
Fine.
But yeah, I think I'm picking Fury on this one. Decision as well. I think it's going to be extremely more difficult for Fury than it was in the first fight. I think the first fight, I don't know if he was being lackadaisical or that was part of the game plan or whatever. But as soon as Usyk broke that nose, I don't know, it was in the 8th and the 9th, he hit it again, bro, and he was on Queer Street. I don't know. What do you guys think? He was playing with his food. Usyk was just chipping away at him. Finally got him. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think Fury in the first 7 rounds, I think if he felt like he was coasting in the fight, he was cruising, and I think the intensity dropped just a little bit, and I do think he was a little bit too comfortable. I do think he was playing around a little bit too much, and it's one thing to have fun in there, but you can have fun in there, but if it's at the expense of losing intensity, then that can be problematic. And I just think that this fight, this fight's not about having fun. This fight is about inflicting damage. And because of that, I do think it's going to be a different outcome. And that's taking nothing away from Usyk. I mean, a lot of people are saying this, and I said this. I just don't think Usyk can take it to another level. I do think Fury has a couple more notches left on that gauge for levels, and I think he will turn it up all the way. And I do believe Usyk already turned his controller up all the way, and I think he was already at the highest level he could be at. I think Fury can just push it a little bit more. And with that being said, Usyk at the highest level and Fury maybe being just a notch below that, it still was a close fight. And as you said, you had him winning by a point. So if Fury not being at the highest level of intensity, right? And this is just an opinion. This is my opinion. You can disagree, or anyone can disagree with that. But Fury still being that competitive, or even arguably winning at not being at the highest level of intensity, what happens if he kicks it up one more notch? I think it could spell problems for Usyk. But again, that's why we fight the fights.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we'll see. I think the first couple rounds will be telling to see how the fight's going to play out.
Yeah, I think that the lack of sparring going into the first fight, combined with the hesitation about the cut reopening, really affected the start of that fight. I really didn't see Fury really fully get into it and show his best attributes until like round 6, 7. He was really getting going. I don't think there's going to be that feeling out stage for 4 or 5 rounds in this rematch. I also think he's going to be sharper because he would have had a full proper camp that included sparring, something he didn't have going into the first fight. And people say that's an excuse. I don't really think it's an excuse. I think it's a fact. Now, the thing is, we'll see if that makes any difference. If it doesn't, despite what I've said this morning about Mr. Usyk and what Mr. Usyk is promoting these days, I will give Mr. Usyk full credit for being what I've already given him full credit as, which is an elite fighter, a generational great fighter, an all-time great fighter already. Win or lose this fight, Mr. Usyk's an all-time great fighter. for what he did as an amateur, for becoming undisputed at cruiserweight and at heavyweight, for his performances in the ring. I may not agree with what he's been promoting recently, but I can't deny those facts. I can't deny his greatness. And should he beat Fury today, I will, of course, give him his credit as the greatest heavyweight, and dare I say, I'll just say it, the greatest fighter of this generation. The greatest fighter, not just heavyweight, greatest fighter of this generation.
Yeah. Definitely.
There it is. There it is.
All right, Puroso, thank you so much. Enjoy the fights, brother.
No,
Enjoy the
thank
fights,
you guys.
man.
Take it easy. Peace.
Absolutely. Yeah, so there you go, Joe. Any last words, brother?
No, I think we got it. Now
All
it's all we got to do is wait for the first bell, man. And I can't wait, man. All the talking is done.
This is a good question. What is Usyk promoting? I'm gonna do a little bit of a video on this, Tony. Give me 5 minutes and I'll go live on my channel with it real quick. It won't be a long live. I'm not gonna go full uncensored like Pierce Morgan pretends to, but doesn't actually do. I'm just gonna give a brief account of what I saw yesterday at the weigh-in and why I think it's very problematic and why I'm against it. So I'm going to talk about that. You can look at that on my channel in about, I'd say 2 to 5 minutes. Just tune in over there. All right, guys, enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy the fights. This was another edition of Sucker Punch. We're going to endeavor to go live more often. All right. And I'm going to coordinate schedules with Beeb, and I'll also work around we'll work around Beeb's schedule. But don't forget, on Beeb's channel, the flagship show is Mr. Joe Habib with Mr. Eric Lorda. It's Ringside Reporter Live. You're gonna want to hear what these guys say tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. London time, because they're on opposite sides on this one. All right, Joe has predicted Fury. Eric has predicted Usyk, and it sounds like Eric kind of believes that Fury's a shot fighter.
He thinks Fury got nothing left.
Right. So it's gonna be a very interesting show tomorrow night. So make sure you tune in for that one. And AP, you can tune in to my channel because I'm gonna be going a little bit more in depth about what I saw at the weigh-in and why I didn't like it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a video for a whole topic that you can do a whole video on, which Maestro's going to be doing.
Exactly. All right, guys. You guys take care, and we'll talk to you later.